Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Linus,
Here.
and Mayor Guimendo.
Here. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
All right, having none, we'll move to recess to closed session, and if you don't mind going over the items we'll be covering during closed session.
Item number 1, the City Council conference regarding public employee recruitment, employment appointment, employee title, Public Works Director. Item number 2, the City Council will confer with its labor negotiator with respect to labor negotiations pertaining to A, memorandum of understanding on behalf of the part-time employees, B, MOU on behalf of mid-management and non-management full-time employees, and C, compensation and benefits for the unrepresented full-time executive management employees. 3, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated potential litigation, 2 matters.
And do we have an item 4?
Oh, 4, I'm sorry. Item number 4, the City Council will confer with its real property negotiator with respect to real estate negotiations regarding A, 5550 Harbor Street, Commerce, California, B, Craig Realty Properties located on Two-Way, Telegraph Road, and Gasper Avenue, and C, properties, city-owned properties, 2535 Commerce Way, 2555 Commerce Way, 5600 Harbor Street, 5107 Astor Avenue, 4725 Astor Avenue, 58089 Telegraph Road, 2240 Gasper Avenue, 5933 Telegraph Road, 6007 Telegraph Road, 6241 Telegraph Road, 5819 Telegraph Road, 2366 Traverse Avenue, 2500 Southeastern, 5600, 5610, and 5620 Gilson, 4545 East Washington Boulevard, 5733 Sheila, 5736 East Washington, 5926 Sheila Street, 555 East Washington, 7025 Slauson, 5440 Telegraph, 5605 Sheila Street, 5771 East Washington, 5611 East Washington, 5476 Gilson Street, and 5530 Gilson Street.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Thank you. And at this time, we're going to recess to closed session. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before we adjourn to closed session, just want to put on the record that Vice Mayor Altamirano joined us at the end of the announcement of our closed session agenda.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody, please bear with us. We're waiting for legal counsel and Councilwoman Garcia, and they should be with us shortly. So we need legal counsel to report out from our closed session, so that's what we're waiting on, okay? Bear with us. Thank you. Sure. We can, yeah, we're gonna meet them. I just want to make sure she's back. All right, thank you all for your patience. At this time, we're going to reconvene from closed session. Legal counsel, could we have a report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, and let the record reflect that Councilwoman Rebollo joined the City Council in closed session. So with all 5 members of the City Council being present, the City Council met in closed session to discuss the following items. Item 2C was discussed. City staff made a presentation. City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. City staff discussed 4C. City staff made a presentation. City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. And it is the intent of the City Council to return into closed session following the completion of the open session agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, legal counsel. And at this time, we're going to call to order the regular City Council meeting. And Lena, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Garcia. Here. Councilmember Limas.
Here.
Councilmember Rebollo. Here. Vice Mayor Altamirano.
Here.
And Mayor Gumedo.
Here. And we're going to Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. Could we have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by our Acting Director of Economic Development and Planning, Molinar Esparza, and please remain standing for invocation by Councilmember Garcia.
Mayor and Council, she was ill, so I'll do it on her behalf and ask you to stand and please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We gather here today in unity and goodwill as representatives of our community to address the matters of importance that shape the future of our city. Before we commence with the business at hand, let us take a moment to offer our thoughts and prayers for those in need around the world. Today we extend our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to the people of Israel, a nation that has faced its shares of challenges. May they find strength, peace, and security in these turbulent times. As we deliberate on these issues, let us keep in mind the values of compassion and solidarity. Together, let us work together towards a brighter and more harmonious future for all residents and businesses. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. And at this time, we're going to go to appearances and presentations. Our first presentation is proclamation is declaring October the 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week. And do we have a presentation on the item?
We do. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. I'm here before you. I won't be doing the presentation, but I'd like to introduce this city council and the community of Commerce to our new public safety manager, Mr. Justin Edson. I will let him introduce himself, tell him a little bit about himself, and then continue with the proclamation. I will ask council probably over the next couple of days to schedule two two-in-ones with all of you to get a chance to intimately ask any questions of Mr. Edson and, get a feel what direction this gentleman has for the community. So, Justin.
Good evening, City Council and Honorable Mayor. My name is Justin Edson, and this is my second week, and I'm looking forward to what's ahead. I get to work with this great team that I've gotten to know over the last few days. It's been a great pleasure to be here. I got to participate in the Public Safety Commission last night. I come from a background in public service. I started as a teenager. I spent over 17 years in public service, working my way up from a police explorer. I spent 10 years with the Newport Beach Police Department, and then I transitioned to a few other cities, getting to code enforcement. I've been an acting building official, acting director of community development, but really my passion is with public safety, and to be a part of this city, a small community, and providing for the residents here is a big goal of mine. So I look forward to working with each of you to understand what your needs, your goals are, so that I can help achieve those and keep our community safe. So I look forward to this experience, and I'm always available to answer questions or help you out with anything that you might need. So it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'll get into the Red Ribbon Week. So I'm excited to share that this week is Red Ribbon Week. And the theme for this year is Be Kind to Your Mind and Live Drug-Free. Since 1985, the Red Ribbon Campaign has reached millions of children and families. The pledge is focused on understanding the dangers of drug use and abuse, respecting yourself, and being drug-free, and spreading the word about the importance of being healthy and drug-free. Tomorrow, public safety, the Los Angeles County Sheriffs, and library staff will be visiting both the Brandini and Rosewood Elementary Schools, and we look forward to interacting with the youth to discuss the importance of being drug-free. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions, members of City Council? We have no questions. I believe we'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Thank you very much, and welcome to the City of Commerce.
Thank you.
A proclamation of the City Council of the City of Commerce designating the week of October 23rd through 31st, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week. Whereas since 1985, the National Family Partnership designated provides drug awareness by sponsoring the National Red Ribbon Campaign. And whereas the National Family Partnership and its network of individuals and organizations continue to deliver his message of hope to millions of people every year. Whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign has designated October 23rd through 31 as Red Ribbon Week. And whereas in response to the murder of DEA agent Kiki Camarena, angered parents and youth in communities across the country began wearing red ribbons, and whereas in honor of Camarena's memory and his battle against illegal drugs, friends and neighbors began to wear red badges of satin, and parents began to form coalitions nationwide. Whereas these new coalitions took Camarena as their model and embraced his belief that one person can make a difference, and whereas today Red Ribbon serves as a catalyst to mobilize communities such as the City of Commerce to educate youth and encourage participation in drug prevention activities. Whereas the City of Commerce Red Ribbon events will include anti-bullying, awareness skits and messages, and Red Ribbon Day rallies on Wednesday, October 26th at the local schools and library during the week of October 23rd through 31st, 2023. Sorry, I have a wrong date here. And now, therefore, I, Hugo Argumedo, Mayor of the City, I do hereby join the National Family Partnership in proclaiming the week of October 23rd through 31st, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourage all who live and work in the City of Commerce to take a stand against crime, drugs, bullying, and work together to make the city a safer and stronger community. Passed and adopted this 24th day of October 2023. Thank you. All right, and at this point, we're going to move to item number 2, and it's a certificate of recognition presented to Community Service Officer Cesar Marquez. And for that, I'm going to have, yeah, let's give him a round of applause. We really thank you for your quick actions on that day, and I'm going to allow our Director of Parks and Recreation, who was present at our event, and I'm going to let him read the recognition.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Greg Alanis, Director of Parks and Recreation. This evening, we honor one of our very own city employees who, in the midst of a crisis, stepped up to the plate and rendered aid to a fallen Commerce resident. At this time, I'd like to call up to the podium Community Services Officer Cesar Marquez. On September 9th, 2023, at our Concert in the Park event, Officer Cesar Marquez went above and beyond his call of duty and responded heroically. In a critical moment, Officer Marquez observed the urgent response of Commerce Sergeant, and without hesitation, he swiftly joined in the effort. Together, they rushed to a distressed crowd where they found an elderly woman who had lost consciousness. Upon arrival, CSO Marquez initiated CPR, successfully restoring the victim's breathing and circulation. Through Officer Marquez's determined efforts, his quick thinking, and trained medical expertise, the victim made a remarkable recovery and is now safely at home. In recognition of his extraordinary service, Community Services Officer Cesar Marquez is presented with this certificate of heroic actions. His actions have demonstrated his commitment to help serve our public by offering an unwavering protection for all citizens in the City of Commerce. Presented today, October 24th. And at this time, Assistant City Manager would like to say a few words as well.
Yeah, so we'll pivot a little bit here, and I just want to say a few words towards Mr. CSO Marquez. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Marquez, for being such a valuable addition to our public safety team since September of '21. What I didn't know was that Marcus made a few stops along the way. I thought for sure you just came out of nowhere and became a CSO, but I didn't realize that you were a YES worker for the transportation in 2017, and you were also a food services attendant from 20 to 21. But I wanted to acknowledge you for your strong work ethic, enthusiastic attitude, high level of commitment to your team, and a strong sense of community. I'm grateful for your hard work, dedication, and positive energy, and we hope to let you know that you're a valuable asset to our team. I also wanted to say all this because I know that there's just another step towards achieving your goal of being an emergency medical responder / firefighter. Cesar Marquez, you have been selected unanimously by the executive team as Employee of the Quarter for exemplary performance for all the reasons I just mentioned. As Employee of the Quarter, your name will be placed on the city's website and newsletter. It will be included in a drawing to occupy the City Council cabin at Camp Commerce during Employees Weekend. And before I finish, I also wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge two other CSOs, Maida and Alvarez, and our Sergeant Duarte in providing crowd control during Marquez's heroic efforts on the night of September 9th, a total team effort. So.
Mr. Marcus, can you come on up to the diocese area for a picture, please? Thank you.
Everyone. The whole group.
I didn't realize they were here. Okay, Magana, I know you don't want to come up. Palella will though.
Justin.
You good?
Yeah, please come up. Everyone needs to come up, please. Thank you. Get everyone to squeeze in. Right. Thank you.
She wants to escape.
Yeah, everyone down over there.
So Cesar, again, thank you very much for your heroic efforts out there on behalf of myself and the members of the city council, and not only you, but your entire public safety team. Thank you guys for being top and helping out, and, you know, we were able to basically help somebody out in our community, and you helped save a life out there. Thank you. Do you have a comment?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Cesar, something that Vilco left out, probably because you didn't know, was that, you know, you are one of our own. You grew up in the Veterans Park area, and I've had the honor to watch you grow up into this incredible young man. You're a part of our preschool program, sports, volunteer at the park, and I know that your mom is watching at home. So, señora Marquez, es un honor para nosotros tener a su hijo en la ciudad de Commerce. Ha hecho un trabajo ejemplar con él y es un honor para nosotros tener a una persona como él trabajar con nuestra comunidad. Felicidades en crear un muchacho ejemplar y un héroe de la comunidad. So congratulations and thank you for going above and beyond.
I'd like to say something to Mayor. Mayor?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Caesar, I'd just like to congratulate you on your courage. I know it's an automatic approach just to get out there and help someone in our community. I just want to congratulate you on just being there for us. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. CSO Marquez, thank you for thinking quickly on your feet and for your heroic efforts that Saturday night. You know, you turned what could have been potentially very tragic into it was a great community event at the concerts at the park, and you kind of helped sustain that. So in situations like those, every second is critical, and the fact that you were able to keep a cool head, act quickly, was definitely the key factor in saving that person's life. So thank you for being a hero. Thank you for shaking my hand earlier. And to our community safety officers, you all do so much for our community. And I know the job can be tough. I know that. But please know on behalf of myself, the community, and I'm sure everybody here on the dais, you know, thank you. Your public service is deeply appreciated. And we see you out there working and doing what you need to do to keep our community safer. And just know that it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for all of your work.
Cesar, I just want to say, yeah, you are a hero. And to be able to count how many heroes we have here in Commerce that have performed what you have is very limited. So it's an honor to have you here in our city, and it's an honor for you to have grown up here in our community. And just to imagine that she or he, the person's life you've saved, has a daughter, you know, has neighbors, has either brothers or sisters, has grandkids, and they get to see this person because of what you did. They get to live much longer. So just get that, set that in, and live with that you saved somebody's life. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Excellent comments. And at this time, we're going to move to public comment, and I do have a few cards. Let me see. I have Maria Alvarez. Please come on up. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Maria Alvarez. I'm at 2208 in Calvin.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to bring to your attention the bike lane. No good. It takes me 15 minutes just to get from Calvin to here to drop off my son for the bus. And you should see all these cars. You gave, honestly, the speed racers green light. And I actually, on my way over here, I took video. And you can see them just rushing through there. So that's one of them. Second of all, the cross guard on Atlantic. We don't have one at all. And there's
Atlantic
kids
and
that
what?
come. There's kids that come from that side to Rosewood on this side. So we don't have a cross.
Okay, what's the cross street? Atlantic and what's
Atlantic and Harbor.
in Harbor?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And then second, the two motels, Bob's on Harbor and Heinz on Garford. Okay. A lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution. They take our parking on Calvin Street. We don't have nowhere to park when the street sweeper. Maybe if they can mark also the parking spaces now, so we could actually, everybody fit around there. Because remember, we have actually on Garford, there's an apartment complex, and it's very dark there too. There's a lot of crime, there's a lot of death. I mean, I got my car stolen from there. I mean, we did the neighborhood watch, you know, each neighbors and so, and we tried. We actually caught 2 of them. But, you know, we can't always be there 24/7. Trees on Calvin Street between Harbor and Garford. I am tired of calling them, say, hey, you know what, can you clean them up? They zap your walk, and they just like all over. So one of the branches, I was actually had called, hey, you need to trim the trees. One of the branches fell on my son's head. And the next door neighbor actually seen. So, yeah, as soon as I said that, they came rushing. Also, the cleaning on the alley. Okay, exactly. Again, Atlantic by Calvin, Garford. I mean, I walked through all that. It's a dumpster. The growing of the bushes from the walls, I actually called like 3-4 times. They didn't come. I even came to City Hall and let them know. So all of this, there has to be also another light on Garford Street where those apartment complexes are. It's pitch black at night. And that's where actually all the crimes are committed all the time because of the 2 motels. And they keep dumping all this furniture out in the back. You hear the banging and everything else. The dogs go crazy. You know, I had actually put a camera now in the backyard for the same reason. You know, it's just getting ridiculous amount. And I could go on and on. But I guess that's it for right now. But how about the parking, the marking of the parking? We need parking spaces. I mean, everybody just parks wildly every day. So I got to be knocking on everybody's door. Hey, can you scoot a little bit? Because I got to park all the way on Washington. You know, there's no parking at all. And like I said, the motel takes our parking spaces, both of them. And the prostitution, the drugs there. We see it all the time. So, thank you very much.
Maria,
Hope
thank you for
there's something
taking the
about
time
it.
from your schedule to come and address these issues. And I see our city manager taking notes over there on much of your comments, and they're also recorded. So we'll make sure we follow up on some of these items that you brought to our attention.
Excuse me, one more. How
Sure.
about you know how you put the speed meter here on Eastern? Are they going to put one on Atlantic? I mean, we witnessed so many accidents right on Harbor. And then not only that, not shortly, I have a video where the explosion and everything when the 2 people were killed because they were racing. They're racing all the time there. You know, and then speed bumps, I don't know, whatever it is to take them down. You know?
Thank you. Your comments have been taken into consideration. There is certain things that we can and can't do with regards to that street there, but I'm sure that we can look at what possible speed mediation efforts we can apply to Atlantic. But we will most definitely.
The neighborhood watch, how we used to do it before. No more?
Well, we're going to be moving in that direction, hopefully, in the very near future, and we're going to resume having more of those meetings. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Antonia Lupercio?
Good evening. My name is Antonia Lupercio in 2219 Ransom Street. And I I came once again to ask to see if you can please speed up on hiring more staff for the libraries. We need more hours on the libraries to be open. 2 hours is not enough for each of the branches, or 3 of the branches, and of course the Bandini satellite. People still waiting that the library is going to be open, but it's up to you guys now. Yes, and I agree with Maria. There's no people patrolling. There's no patrolling. The city is very light. People can see, and there's no why we having no more neighborhood watch. It's so sad that Laura Tilly has to go because she was doing her work, going by the book. She has to be fired for that. That's so sad. Thank you. We hope we really pay attention to the library and hire more people. We need more hours. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Antonia. But just for your information, hopefully, City Manager, we can forward Ms. Lupercio and make others aware of the fact that we just completed our mid-year budget, and during that process, I believe we've approved some additional positions that were approved by all the members of the City Council. And if there's any additional need, we'll review those, I believe, at mid-year, correct? Yeah, thank you. And I have Orlando Silva. Did you want to speak on the item, or do you want to speak now?
On the item.
You want to wait for the item to come
Yeah.
up? Yeah, because I see you have an item on
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll call you up when that item comes up, okay? Thank you. Okay, there being no additional, well, actually, we do have one additional item for public comment, and it was a letter that was submitted. We received a letter from Elizabeth Prada, and this is a public complaint letter, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this letter is available via the city clerk's office. We'll file it with city clerk and allow that letter to anybody who would like to see it. They can go to the city clerk and request that. Lena, I'll turn this over to you, okay? And that concludes our public comment section. We're going to move to the consent calendar. Under consent calendar, we have items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and let's see what else we got. Oh my gosh, all the way through 14. Does anybody want to pull any items?
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, through 9? Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's, I'm sorry, hold on a second. Yeah, through 9. Yeah, I believe we wanted just to follow up on item number 7, so we're going to pull that item. And
At number 9.
And number 9? Okay. So with the exception of items 7 and 9, I would accept a motion to approve the remaining items if there's no comments or questions.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. So we'll move to item number 7 at this time. And Gina, thank you.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, good evening. You have a question?
Yeah, Councilwoman Garcia, I believe you had a question on item number 7. If you'd like, I'll try to summarize what I believe your question may have been. And I believe that the question was related to, I guess she still had some questions related to the actual design and of the actual project in question.
Certainly.
And I did call you earlier to get some clarification, and you were able to tell me that I believe this is just, we're approving the design of the project, and based on the presentation that we had and all of the comments and information that we received from all members of the city council, those were noted, and I believe that they'll be coming back with something that hopefully all of us can agree with.
Yes, I just wanted to add that what council had previously approved was a concept plan. That was with hiring of Mr. Gibson, who presented to the council a concept plan. What we are doing tonight, what we are recommending is that we approve a professional services agreement with Stantec Consulting in order for them to do further traffic analysis and to come back with recommendations for a final design plan. So we have not concluded design, we've only had a concept plan approved.
Okay, is that, are you clear with that? Okay, great. If there's no additional comments or questions on this item, yes.
We're not approving any monies going towards it yet, correct? Because I know my concern was the fact that we were doing the telegraph corridor on the where Mariana is.
Yes, between
And-
Mariana.
Yeah, and obviously for me, you know, I think we should focus more on the streets that are within our city. So today we're just approving the concept plan, or are we moving forward?
No.
An agreement, got it.
Yeah, it is an agreement.
Okay. As far, I think for me, I still stand with my previous comment that we should focus our money on streets within our city, or I'm happy that we're finally discussing Slauson, but there's still a lot more for us to cover within our city. And I know that's still technically part of the city, but I know a lot of it is East LA. So nothing against our neighbor. I would love for it to look nice because, you know, it does touch the city of Commerce. But as for me, I would like for us to focus the money on streets that are within, more within our city. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So there being any other comments, any other questions? There being none, a motion would be in order to approve item number 7. Do we have a motion? There being a motion, I guess we're not going to be taking action on this item. Motion. There's no motion on the item. Legal counsel, can you advise us on proper direction on moving with this item?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, the item before you was for the city council to approve an agreement to help with design, and seeing that there's no support for that agreement, then unless there's another agreement already in place, then that design work is not authorized to move forward.
All right. That being the case, we're going to move forward, and we're going to move to item number 9, which I believe is the next item that we passed. That was pulled, rather.
Pulled.
Yeah, it was pulled. Yeah. So item number 9, acceptance of easement quitclaim deed at 5926 Sheila Street associated with the Southern California Edison refuse 66-12 kV substation removal.
Good evening, Dias. Greg Guzman, Transportation Fleet Maintenance Manager. How could I assist?
Yeah, Greg, go on. Question?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure if there's any
just-
questions, council.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to be caught up on this. And did we remove it already?
Yes, we did.
We
Yes.
did. Okay. And Edison charged us.
The entire removal process did
Okay.
cost.
All right. I remember they've been talking about this for years now. How large is that little lot? I haven't been there in a while.
The entire lot is a couple acres, but the substation's 20,000 square feet.
Okay. All right. Good. So, so just to be clear though, but Edison took their equipment back, correct? They took it
Correct.
back?
They took their equipment back, and then they were also responsible for any soil contamination. So they did a soil investigation.
Uh-huh.
The results came back negative. So at that point, they're legally bound to just, quick deed and move away.
Okay.
At that point, this is what we're asking for, approval for that.
All right, and that's like now 100% the city's property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Cool. All right, thank you. Oh, you have a question? Oh. It's our property, yeah,
Yes.
it is. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, a motion would be in order to approve this
I'll
item.
move.
We have motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. All right. Item number 10, presentation and update from Sheriff's Department regarding public safety in the City of Commerce. Sergeant Duarte, come on up.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. You have a presentation on your screen right now. It's Part 1 crimes from January 1st to October 21st. We had a total of 12 aggravated assaults. We had 7 robberies. We had 21 burglaries, other thefts 84, auto thefts 12, and we didn't have any arsons. So as of October 1st through October 21st, you will see on the map in comparison with Cudahy, Maywood, and East LA. Commerce had 7 assaults, robberies 7, 21 burglaries, 84 other thefts, 12 auto thefts. Cudahy had 3 assaults, 3 robberies, 1 burglary, 10 other thefts, 8 auto thefts, and no arsons. Maywood had 1 assault, 4 robberies, 4 burglaries, 15 other thefts, 10 auto thefts, and 0 arsons. East LA had 41 assaults, 11 robberies, 25 burglaries, 102 other thefts, 31 auto thefts, and 2 arsons. Okay, go to the next slide. Commerce arrest stats. For October, there was 14 misdemeanor arrests, and there was 18 felony arrests. Okay. On to the next slide, please. The Commerce SAO activities. SAO team attended social media training, participated in the Commerce Health Fair at the Senior Center, participated in the annual 2023 Great Shakeout Community Emergency Response Tabletop Exercise, provided security at Citadel outlets for Sheriff Luna and LA County Board of Supervisors during the press conference regarding an update on the multi-agency organized retail theft task force, and provided information on multiple arrests of retail theft and grand theft suspects. On to the next slide. As you could see, I am wearing pink patches. Breast cancer awareness is not enough to help those currently fighting breast cancer. We must all be involved and take action. In 2019, for the first time in the department history, department members were authorized to wear LASD pink patches on their uniforms for the month of October. The pink patch serves as a symbol to promote public awareness of the significance of early detection and the ongoing fight against breast cancer. In addition, this week, the LA County Sheriff's Department joins the nation's commitment to National Red Ribbon Week by promoting awareness and providing education to our younger generation regarding the vulnerability associated with drug use. Only by working together, we can reinforce the message to say no to drugs and live a life drug-free. Okay. I know that we had increase in robberies, as we saw here. It was 7. I am going to report as well on our robberies, arrest-related. 4 of those robberies were arrested. If you guys have any questions?
Any questions? No questions. Thank you, Sergeant, to you and your team for the good job you're doing out there. Keep up the good work. We appreciate you letting us know the different activities that you're covering. I like that. And I know you're providing additional security or additional job responsibilities when we have events and stuff like that. So we appreciate you being there and providing the additional coverage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11, appeal to Traffic Commission, denial of disabled blue curb parking request at 7158 Watcher Street.
Yes. So we had previously presented this appeal to council, and council had some questions. And because the applicant is, has other obligations on Tuesday night, was not here to answer questions. So instead, we called. And the questions that council had were, one, is the applicant the owner or the renter? The applicant's the renter. Two, is the second rear unit rented out, and is the owner willing to share the rental agreement to show that the driveway usage is part of the rental agreement? The owner actually lives in the second unit, the rear unit, and that the resident stated, or the applicant stated, that there was no mention about parking being available on site for his use in his rental agreement. The third question council had is there any cooperation possible between the two units for shared driveway usage? The applicant stated that he has discussed this with the owner, but that is difficult to come to any arrangement because his, the owner's family and children drive in and out of the driveway at all times throughout the day and evening, and it would be an inconvenience to have the renter park in a driveway and have to ask the owner to consistently move the cars. The last question is the owner willing to widen the driveway, excuse me, to accommodate on-site parking for the front unit? The applicant said that that was also discussed with the owner, but that the owner said it was too costly and it doesn't seem feasible because of the existing fence, and there's a water meter that would need to be relocated in order to widen the driveway. So we come back to the appeal request for reconsideration with council. And that concludes my report, and I open it up to council discussion at this point.
Did we address any of the additional items? And I think we had some problems with cars not parking properly or illegally parking in the center of that cul-de-sac. Has that been addressed?
I would have to defer to public safety. If any of the other items were addressed on the cul-de-sac at Watcher, where we have that vacant property and the cars that...
Right, so subsequent to the last meeting, and specifically this inquiry, I sent out CSOs to monitor on a regular basis, and they didn't report any kind of work being done on vehicles, at least to the times that they would do the drive-bys.
The question I was raising, I didn't get to that one, but that was one of them, so thank you for letting us know about that. And that's right across the street from the address in question.
Right.
So that's where the people were working on vehicles. But the question was cars parking illegally in the cul-de-sac. So they would take the middle part, you know, you'd go around the cul-de-sac, there's a middle section, and they would park their vehicles there.
So my apologies. So the CSOs were directed to look for anything that would be deemed inappropriate or illegal, and we did not find any. I mean, we'll continue to monitor the situation, just like we do with other situations that we're made apprised of. But I mean, I'll make it a point of it to send them out there more regularly. But times that they've been out there, they just haven't seen anything.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comments, any questions from the members of the city council? And so, yes, no? At this point, a motion would be in order on this item. Let me see. So we have a staff recommendation. The staff recommendation was to consider upholding the Traffic Commission's action to deny a blue curb parking request at 7158th Street based on parking concerns in the city and the following circumstances. Applicant's driveway can be used for access by physically challenged residents, vehicle consistent with blue curb parking policy approved by City Council on October 11, 2022. So if you feel that you want to uphold the Traffic Commission's decision, we can move forward with the staff recommendation. A motion would be in order on this, if that's what you'd like to do.
Mayor, I'll move to uphold the Traffic Commission's decision.
Okay, we have a
Second that.
motion.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any objections?
I object.
We have one objection. Anybody else? We have two objections, and I am going to go with my colleagues, and I'm going to approve the Traffic Commission's actions that they've taken. So motion passes on this item. Item number 12, we have another appeal of Traffic Commission denial of disabled blue curb parking request at 2305 Connor Avenue.
Yes, this is an appeal that we do have the applicant here with us this evening, Ms. Saldana, who, if you have any direct questions for, she is willing to come up and answer any of those questions. She's sitting over here with us. So with regard to this blue curb, it was presented to the Traffic Commission on September 13th of 2023. The applicant's request for the blue curb parking space at 2305 Connor Avenue was denied due to there being two existing blue curb spaces within a block of the property, one in one direction, one in the other direction. The curb spaces, the blue curb spaces located on Connor Avenue, it's approximately 230 feet from the house. The one closer is on Leona Street. We are discussing a property that is on the corner of Leonis and Connor, so that one is only 30 feet. It's the next property over. The blue curbs, as you know, are not designated for any one particular person, so they can be used by anybody who has an appropriate blue curb placard. And for that reason, the Traffic Commission denied the request. So there is an appeal before you, and if you have any questions, I'd like to open it up.
Is
At
there
this
any
time for
comments,
those.
questions, members of the City Council?
Oh, sorry.
Seeing none, what would be your pleasure here? Once again, the item before us would be, staff's recommendation would be to deny the blue curb parking request at 2305 Connor Avenue based on what was just covered by Gina, our acting director.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, for clarification, it was denied because I'm sorry, I was trying to read and
That's
hear you
okay,
at the
that's
same
okay.
time. It was denied because there's one on Leonis?
There's two actually existing that within close proximity of the applicant's address. So
On the ABC
there's one on
community.
Leonis and there's one on Connor.
Okay, and they want a second one on Connor.
They want another one.
And Gina, just to clarify, the concern here is that if we now have 3 blue curb spaces within those 2 streets, it dramatically reduces the available street parking for
It
everyone
does.
else, right? That's the general concern.
And Mr. Mayor, sorry if I may continue.
Yes.
I just want to reiterate, I think we have the same type of problem like we did on Watcher. So I know I've gotten numerous phone calls about people parking. They're like, I don't know if it's a forklift, not a forklift, sorry. What is that? A tow truck company. There's people selling cars and they take up street space. So, Vilko, if you can kind of take note, I know that that's been an issue and we've sent out officers in the past. But I know that that's one of the issues and that's why there is limited parking because, people are they're either not parking their cars correctly, which is a problem throughout the whole city, or they're putting cars out there for sale. We can't teach common courtesy. I mean, it's really just a matter of neighbors realizing, like, move your car a little bit so 2 cars can park instead of just one, right? We can't teach common courtesy. But those are the things that community is dealing with. So I understand, though, right, like 3 handicap parkings, how impacted that community would be. And these are always so difficult, right, because we look at people who their mobility is limited, and we want to be able to put a blue curb right in front of their home, right? Especially for anyone that has limited mobility. But sometimes it's you know, it's hard. But I would like for us to pay more attention to the ABC community and to really, I don't know how we can monitor the parking, right? But I think this goes back to just kind of us looking at our monies and really maybe looking at the city as a whole and doing the markings, the designated markings, so that we can have, you know, better parking. Again, like I said, we can't teach common courtesy, but maybe we definitely should now look into, you know, the markings in the street, so we can better monitor, you know, how people park and open up spaces for people. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your comments. With regards to, just a follow-up, with regards to her comments about the possible folks out there that have some vehicles for sale and parking them out there, hopefully we have something in the books that would address that, and I would hope that you're going to be following up on that, Vehicle, and our public safety staff. And besides that, other than that, I guess I would entertain a motion at this time. Again, staff's recommendation would be to deny the blue curb based on the fact that we have 2 existing curved spaces within a block of the property. Is there a motion? I would move to accept staff's recommendation on this item.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm so sorry. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So on here, it's saying, the applicant put that they don't use the handicap parking that's at 2325 Connor. Did we investigate that?
Yeah, and there were some other blue curbs in the neighborhood that she was referring to not being used, and those were removed, and that's within the blue curb policy. That, you know, it is to the discretion of the city. If they're not being used, they can be removed. But there are 2 in existence within a
So it's not
reasonable-
3?
No, there's
It's
2, and they're asking for a 3rd.
So there's one on Connor and one on
Yes.
Leones.
Yes.
But this one here says that the one on Connor is not being used. So
Yeah.
did we investigate that address?
It can be used by them.
Right, but did we investigate this address to see if they no longer need it at that address, and then
We
we just
have,
move it over?
and they claim that they can use it. If she would like to come and speak.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
I
were
said
saying.
we have, and they claim that they do still need it.
That address still uses it?
Yes.
Got it.
But each one is open to whomever has a placard. It's
Got
not
it.
just for that address
Right.
who originally applied.
Are we gonna allow that?
Please, if she would like to
Okay.
make some comments, we'd be more than glad to hear her.
Sí. Sí, sí, sí.
Muy buenas tardes, señores. Vengo a hacer una apelación, ya se dieron cuenta. Ya vinimos a solicitar la línea azul aquí a la oficina. Me mandaron una carta, me dijeron que viniera a apelar. Que porque había, o sea que mi entrada del gate, que estaba buena para que subiera mi carro, pero, o para que me dejaran ahí. En la entrada del carro, del gate, hay una rampita. Hay una rampita, mis pies no lo pueden subir, tengo que subir de lado. Así como me ven mis manos, así están los dedos de mis pies. No es por capricho, es por necesidad. Enfrente para mí es más fácil que mi hija me ponga un pasamanos en la escalera y pueda subir. Por eso es mi apelación. Por atrás se me hace muy difícil, créanme. La rampa, mis pies no pueden hacerlo así porque mis pies están completamente tiesos, están inmóviles, no pueden doblar. Tengo que subir de ladito y con ayuda de mi hija o de mi nieto. Entonces, por eso es la molestia de que los estoy molestando. No crean que es por gusto, es por pura necesidad. Si es que está en sus posibilidades, ¿verdad? Porque tampoco vengo a exigir, ¿verdad? Y y pues se los agradecería mucho, ¿verdad? Pero si no se puede, pues ni modo. ¿Qué le vamos a hacer? Hay que batallarle. ¿verdad?
Gracias por su tiempo, señora.
Muchísimas gracias a
explicar.
ustedes.
No,
Y que Dios
gracias.
nos bendiga y que sigan haciendo bien para toda la comunidad.
Muchas gracias.
Ándele, pues.
Thank you. And at this time, I'm going to withdraw my motion, and I would recommend that. Let's see what item, number 12. I'm going to recommend that we continue this item to the next meeting. That'll, I believe, allow us some time to take a look at the property and hopefully come up with a solution to address the concerns that she's having.
I would second that. Is that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'm recommending it, so if we can, I would like a motion to continue the item to the next council meeting.
Is it bogus to like think, I don't know, I'm in a perfect world, right? For you to have a conversation with that household to see, I don't know, if we're able to now move obviously anybody can use that blue curb, right? But to move it closer to their house, or maybe in the middle of both, where there's, where they don't have to walk so far. I don't know, is that even something that we can do? Like have that conversation and,
Yes.
I think if there's one handicap parking and there's two families that need it, like maybe put it in the middle where they both have closer access to it. Is that a
So, yeah,
conversation we can have?
We'll look into it further, but the one on
that crazy?
Leonis is right beside their driveway. The one on Connor is 3 houses down from their front gate.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we'll look into it and
Okay.
we'll continue the matter if
Yeah,
you
and,
so
and
choose.
I basically am asking for the additional time. I will personally go out there to look. And we'll see, I'll see if we can find a solution.
Okay. Okay.
Vamos a continuar el item. El alcalde va a ir personalmente a ver qué es lo que se puede hacer para llegar a una solución para las dos familias. Sé que estaban teniendo problemas de entender.
Y removieron 2 signs que no se ocupaban, porque las casas son rentadas, ya son rentadas, las personas no viven. Creo que el handicap que está sobre el balcón, creo que también es rentada y no vemos personas deshabilitadas. Entonces sería una opción como investigar si lo usan o no.
Sí, el alcalde ya dio dirección para empezar las investigaciones y para tener esa conversación. Muchas gracias por venir esta noche.
Thank you both. So we'll continue item, I believe, did we get a motion and a second?
Yes.
We, okay, sorry, can we get do we have a motion and a second? I'm sorry.
Mayor, was yours?
My
yours-
motion, your second. All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes, so we'll continue this item to the next council meeting. Item number 13, that would be Slauson Corridor Improvements from I-5 to I-710 Project Concept Plan.
Okay, so
Gina.
this was previously presented to council. Council had questions, and it was suggested that a site visit may help. And so I understand that 2 met with KOA consultants this past Saturday. I believe 1 council member may have visited the area on their own. Tonight, we have Greg Garces with KOA to present. Kevin? Presentation. Sent.
You did?
Mm-hmm. No? Okay, we'll
Mayor,
bring that up
sorry,
in a moment.
and Gina, just let me jump in real briefly, just kind of a sneak preview here based on the city attorney's update. But I believe item 14 will be continued. Staff will ask that item number 15 be continued, and item number 16 was published with a continuation recommendation. So I believe you said that there was a member of the audience that wanted to speak on an item. I'm not
That's
sure.
correct.
What
Yeah,
item
we
number?
do have one card, and it's on this item now.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it's on the item that we're on. So do we want to move forward with the presentation, or does the individual, Orlando Silva, would you like to make your comments now, or do you want to wait for the presentation? No, they're going to make a presentation. If you'd like, you can make your comments now if you'd like. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Apologies for the interruption. Just wanted to make sure he wasn't waiting for an item that we intended to continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, yeah, continue on, Gina.
Okay.
Do you have
So-
a presentation that we'll be moving through? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we do have a presentation, and I'd like Greg, who is presented before you, before.
Clicker, yeah. Okay. Okay, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. We appreciate the opportunity to come back and present to you our revised recommendations for the Slauson Avenue Corridor Improvements Project. Next, let's see. How do I go back? Can we go back one? Yeah, I get, it's not working. No. I just want to advance it one slide. Nope. Let's jump in. We want to go just to the second one. There we go. Okay, great. Technical errors. Okay, so the purpose of the presentation is to update council on the development of our concept alternatives, present our updated concepts and our preferred alternative, and finally to seek council approval on the updated preferred corridor concept plan. Okay, so just a recap of the existing conditions. We developed this sort of simplified exhibit of the corridor. You know, there are a few more streets in between, but this kind of highlights the major, the key aspects of it. So Slauson Avenue, again, just to recap, 3 lanes per direction. West of Malt, it's 2 lanes per direction. East of Malt. West of Malt, there is currently no existing on-street parking on both sides of the street. East of Malt, all the way to Gage, I-5, there's existing, on-street parking is permitted except during the overnight hours. Now, a key component of the project, as we discussed before, was to provide traffic and congestion management improvements. There are a total of 9 signalized intersections from the west end of the corridor to the east, and at each one we are proposing a variety of traffic signal upgrades, including signal timing, signal coordination, so that the signals communicate with each other in order to improve traffic flow across the corridor from end to end. We are proposing turn pocket extensions in order to accommodate more traffic in the turn lanes. At Garfield, we're proposing to add a dual left turn lane in the eastbound direction and to lengthen the turn pocket in the westbound direction. Now, in addition to the intersection signal improvements, another central component of the project is to provide bike lanes. Currently on Slauson Avenue, there are no bike lanes, within the project limits. The street is designated as what we call a Class 2 bikeway in the city's bicycle master plan, which means that it's planned to have on-street bike lanes in some form. In our last meeting, our initial preferred concept was to provide on-street bike lanes that were striped. So essentially, it's, you stripe out the curb lane to provide clearance for bikes, and then you provide a striped buffer next to it to ensure that bicyclists are separated from the adjacent travel lane with the safety buffer so that, they're not riding close to cars and trucks. At the same time, council asked our team to look into some options to provide more substantial separation between bicycles and traffic. One of the ideas was to look at potentially putting the bike lane up onto the sidewalk. So we went back and looked at how that could possibly be achieved. West of Malt, putting the bike lanes up onto the sidewalk would require some removal and relocation of virtually all, if not most, sidewalk obstructions in order to provide the lateral clearance that's required for our standards to have bicyclists and pedestrians share that space up there. This includes poles, cabinets, boxes in the sidewalk, also sidewalk trees. And it would require reconstruction of sidewalks and driveways in order to provide a shared path, shared level path for bikes and pedestrians. East of Malt, we looked into the most cost-effective way to do this without having to relocate utilities, but in order to achieve a sidewalk-level bikeway, one possible measure would be to extend the existing curb a few feet into the street, then reconstruct the sidewalks and driveways to provide the bike and pedestrian path both on the same level on the sidewalk, but still separated in order to preserve the utilities in between. So this is a rendering that we prepared that kind of visualizes what the sidewalk level bike lane concept would look like. This particular location is east of Garfield, so this is where we would widen the existing curb and have the split path for bicyclists at the back of the walk and pedestrians at the curb. If you look on the right side, this kind of shows some of the design features that would be incorporated into this. We would extend the existing curb into the street, construct a 4-foot pedestrian path next to the curb, construct a 5.5-foot bike path at the back of the sidewalk, and maintain the 4-foot wide landscape strip for utilities. Upon further inspection and exploration into this alternative, we noted that there would be a significant number of issues involved with this type of design. The first being that even with the widened parkway, the bike path is not specifically a standard design width according to our design standards. It requires a little bit of extra space so that bicyclists have more room to maneuver. We also noted that in doing this, there would be poor visibility of cyclists at driveways. If you look at the inset at the bottom left corner of the image, you can see a semi sort of hanging out into the driveway apron. This is typically where they queue up to look in both directions to enter the street. And sometimes they can dwell there for, a few seconds, up to a minute or so. And you see this conceptual design where the bicyclist is on the sidewalk, and we see that there's a conflict there. In addition to that, when you extend the sidewalk into the street, because of the way that the roadway is profiled up, you wind up with a very low curb, which can cause drainage issues, flooding onto the parkway and other drainage problems at the curb. There'd be an issue with ADA compliance at driveways and right-of-way impacts at driveways. If we have to reconstruct driveways, oftentimes what happens is we have to eat into the existing private property in order to make grades, and that requires a lot of coordination with the private property owners and some right-of-way impacts. In addition to that, similar to west of Malt, there could be a lot of utility relocation, even with the sidewalk extension, because not all of the trees and poles and hydrants are lined up along the sidewalk. And in addition to that, we would anticipate some significant project delays due to utility coordination. This is especially true west of Malt, where we have It would require a lot of undergrounding of the utility poles and the transmission lines, which would delay the project several years with a cost of approximately $33 million to coordinate the utilities. So we looked into some other options. This shows a comparison of the existing conditions with another alternative, which is to propose a protected bikeway on the street. And the on-street protected bikeway, this is similar to our last presentation, would require no relocation or modification of the existing curbs. However, what it would do is require that we dedicate that curb lane in each direction to be a bicycle path on the street with a buffer in between. We'll skip over that one for now. This is a short rendering showing what that concept would look like. Again, this location is east of Malt. So one of the impacts of implementing this alternative east of Malt Avenue would be that we would be relocating on-street parking to the adjacent properties. In the first several months of the project, we conducted a very rigorous traffic and parking study. And as part of the findings of that study, we determined that cumulatively, block by block, the existing on-street parking that occurs on that segment could be sufficiently absorbed by the private properties with sufficient parking surplus following that. One of the benefits of this alternative is that we are providing a vertical buffer between the bike lane and the traffic lane. And again, what that buffer looks like, I'll get into that in just a moment. And in addition to that, at conflict points at driveways, bicyclists would have a clear path and clear sight with driveway traffic. So looking further into some potential options for the vertical separator between the bike lane and the traffic lane. The three most common vertical separators that you see in practice now are these three listed here. We have flexible bollards, we have a tapered median, and we have a curved median. The first option, flexible bollards, would be to implement these plastic delineators, these vertical delineators. They look kind of like tubes, but they're a lot wider than the tubes that you usually see out there. And we space them between 20 and 40 feet within that buffer. And if you're in the traffic lane, the one that's riding adjacent to the buffer, it more or less looks like a wall or a barrier between the traffic lane and the bike lane. Rarely, if ever, is this type of feature, encroached upon unless there's some type of accident. And we want to fix that here. This is a sample image in the city of LA where they've implemented this. They've implemented these pretty closely. The widths are adjustable, but what this option does is it provides that vertical separation for cyclists. You're riding in the bike lane, you feel comfortable that you're not going to have cars coming into your lane. The devices are fairly easy to maintain. Even with knockdowns, they can be replaced in a matter of minutes by maintenance staff. They can be adjusted if we need to move them further or away from the curb within that buffer zone to accommodate street sweeping or emergency vehicle access. We can do that. And in general, the construction cost is relatively low compared to the other options. A second option for the vertical separator is what we call the taper median. This is a small bumper type of curb. It's raised a few inches off the ground, as you can see in that exhibit down there. It provides a slightly wider vertical separation for cyclists. There is some impedance to emergency access. The image that you see here is the 6th Street Viaduct in LA that was recently constructed. They added the bike lanes and the separators afterwards onto the bridge deck. And as you can see, they have these devices. They're actually rubberized and they're separated by a little bit of a gap in between each one. Now there's some impedance to drainage. So on a street like Slauson, we'd have to be careful because the way that the water, the crossfall of the water toward the curb, you can create ponding issues if you're not designing it carefully, which can cause more drainage issues at the curb. And lastly, the third potential option is the curb median. This option provides a full curb height vertical separation for bicyclists. Because of the added height and width of this type of option, it creates more of an impedance for emergency vehicles. Let me actually go back to the last slide here. No. Okay. One more here. So on the 6th Street Viaduct, emergency vehicles, in the case of a traffic congestion issue, they can technically roll into the bike lane and use that as a sort of emergency bypass. But what some reports have shown is that there is some vertical impedance. I mean, it's 4 inches, but there's still a bump, so they still have to bump into it, come and bump out, and hopefully they don't hit any of those bollards. With the curb median option, there's a lot less flexibility in terms of situations where there's traffic congestion. Emergency vehicles typically cannot traverse these types of devices because they're 6 to 8 inches high. The EMS vehicles bottom out, fire trucks can hit it as well. So it provides more of an impedance for emergency access. There's a significant added construction cost due to the pavement reconstruction we have to do, not just underneath the medians, but to a buffer distance to the side of them. And this also creates more an impediment to street sweeping vehicles. Okay. So looking at all of our options and all of our alternatives, it was a collective decision of the group, coordinating with city staff, to select the preferred option of flexible bollards within the buffered area for this design. Reason being that flexible bollards are very standard design. They're compliant with our current local, state, and national standards and guidelines. They're the most common protected bikeway treatment currently in place right now. They've been implemented in several other cities, including City of Los Angeles, Long Beach, Santa Ana, Santa Monica, and many other cities in LA County. There's a relatively lower construction cost and low maintenance costs compared with the other possible alternatives. The devices are more readily adjustable. They provide more sufficient emergency vehicle access. And ultimately, we believe this alternative offers a more substantial protection for bicyclists than what we had presented at the last meeting, while at the same time does not offer any cost prohibitive or project prohibitive features that won't be constructible in the field. Okay, I think we can open up to questions and discussion.
Questions? Council? Comment? Oh, yeah, let me allow the individual to come up. Thank you for the reminder. Mr. Orlando Silva, would you like to come up and make your comments now?
I've never made a public comment before, so can you guys like guide me through it, like what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah, please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have, we'll give you time to
Great.
ask your question.
My name's Orlando Silva. I live on 2434 Gaspar Avenue. I'm here to kind of show my support with the whole improvement of Slauson, but I kind of want to challenge Gina and her public works team and adding a BRT on Slauson. I feel like that would kind of like alleviate a lot of issues that like residents are concerned about, and also it'll impact other communities as well in regards to using public transit. So I just wanted to see if you guys are able to do that instead of like adding cones and like having a lot of separation, because you guys can do a BRT line and also mix it with like bicycles. So I don't know. I think that's something.
I'm sorry. You mind for? I mean, a BRT. You mind explaining?
Bus rapid transit.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so you see them a lot like in Santa Monica and also like in New York. So in Europe, it's kind of like a standard procedure in Europe for like a lot of people use public transit like that. So just wanted to see if you guys are able to do that. But yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate your comments. Okay, council? Yeah, any, you have a comment? Yes?
Yeah. First of all, just thank you. I was able to go out there on Saturday with, I forget her name.
Min Zhao.
Who is it?
Min Zhao.
Yes. And, you know, this is a project that, you know, I don't know, I don't know, when was it, Mr. Mayor? 2016, 2017 that we were discussing, and, you know, we've been waiting for a long time. And Slauson needed to be renovated. So I'm really glad that we're here now. And I know that bike lanes are the hot topic, and I know that it's something different and not something that is really welcomed by a lot of people in this community. But I think that we have to look into the future of what we want our community to look like. We have to look into the future of sustainability and getting people, you know, out of their cars and onto bikes. I know that in that particular corridor, I've seen it, and we've seen it on Saturday when we were there. There are people that work in those warehouses that go on bikes. And I don't know how many, right? But I know that there are some that live in this city and some that take the bus. So, you know, it is a little situation that has become a big issue, right? Like, why are we making bike lanes? And I explained a little bit about it on my social media, about the fact that the grants that we're getting, we can only use those grants if we incorporate bike lanes. And there was a mobility master plan that, I think that's what it's called, right, Gina? That part of the community was a part of, and we talked about implementing more bike lanes in our community. And it's a good thing. Bike lanes are a good thing. And we just have to be creative in how we're going to use them, the protection that we need for these bike lanes. As for me, I'm whether it's a popular thing or not, or, you know, we hear time and time again, like, you know, we're afraid of, like, well, what if, you know, I don't want to upset people because of the vote. And, you know, for me, like, I understand that there's a movement against the bike lanes, but I'm still very much in support of it. It's just, it's something that is needed. We talk about, you know, moving our city forward and making our city look better and different. Why can't we look like Pasadena? Well, these are the baby steps that we're taking to look like Pasadena. You know, housing is next, and all this is going to correlate together, and it's just going to look so amazing. And I hope that we are able to, you know, take that leap and welcome this challenge. And I like the different options. I personally don't like the way the bollards look. I don't like it. I like the path, the which one?
The striped green
I the one with that has the little the raised median.
Yeah.
Can you bring it back up? I don't know. I know that it's probably the safest and what other cities are using because it's probably cheaper, but yes, I really, really think that looks so much nicer. And yes, I like that that option. I also just want to reiterate, I talked to on Saturday too, we talked about it, like the trees, making sure that we are bringing trees that are helping us with the smog and not putting palm trees, because, you know, palm trees look amazing and we're known for our palm trees, but specifically in that corridor, since there's so many cars, we really need to look at, you know, trees that are going to help mitigate, right, the smog there. And if possible, and I always talk about this, mature trees, right, not seedlings that are going to take us
Right.
years and years and years to see come into fruition. And those are my comments. I just wanted to make my comments in support of this project and in support of really looking at bike lanes, implementing them in the city, and just, you know, but making sure that we're doing it in a way where it's safe and it's not impeding and causing more traffic. And in walking the corridor, I believe we're not losing, we're losing a lane between Malt and, from Malt to Eastern, correct?
Yep, yeah, exactly.
east-
All
well,
the way to,
to-
the river, basically.
To the, yeah, I guess I'm worried about commerce, right?
Yeah.
So, but you've also done a lot of traffic studies, and it's not highly used, and it doesn't impact the residential part of this project, because in the towards the residential part of this project, we're not losing lanes, but we are just losing parking, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's very clear. So that was it. Those were my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councilwoman. Councilmember Linus?
Thank you, Mayor. No real questions, just a few comments, just, as Councilwoman Arbollo said, I think, we do need to look at that corridor. That's a heavily trafficked street, and quite frankly, it's been neglected, right? Likely because it's in the outskirts of commerce, and because there aren't a lot of residents there, right? It's mostly just businesses. It's tough to drive through there, right? Like the street's cracking, and it's in dire need of improvements. And the one thing I do want to remind the community is, whether you support bike lanes or not, the design phase for this, right, or the concept plan, is being funded by Measure R funds, right? And I expect that the implementation of whatever ends up being approved will be funded by a grant, right? And in order for us to be eligible for a grant, California's in this initiative where we want to develop complete streets. And the truth is, a complete street is inclusive of a bike lane. And it's not for recreation, right? Nobody's biking through Slauson for recreation. They're biking through it for mobility, to facilitate transportation, right?
Correct.
You get off a bus stop, you get your bike out, and you bike on over to what's next. So I just want to remind people of that, because a lot of people sometimes make comments, well, nobody bikes through there, right? But the truth is, if there's an opportunity for us to receive funding and to implement something, it's my belief that we should, even though it's not necessarily in what you would consider a linear line of fashion, right? You would think, okay, well, we're going to develop all this housing, and then now that we have the housing, now we're going to develop the streets that will facilitate transportation. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. In a perfect world, it does, right? But the world's imperfect, right? So I think we're trying to leverage whatever we can do and come up with a plan that will be a strong candidate for a grant once it's time for implementation. And in order for us to have a good quality score, to be more amenable for those funds, we need complete streets. Now, I definitely like the concept of the curb median, but from a practicality standpoint, I don't know how much it makes sense for me, right? Outside of the emergency vehicle impediments that you mentioned, I think of Slauson, and I also think of hygiene issues, right? And so how do we get a street sweeper in there on a regular basis, right? How can we thoughtfully or easily, practically keep that street, which you just kind of implemented and it looks beautiful, keep it looking beautiful? And so while bollards, I know sometimes, they have their lifespan, right? After a few months, they start to look a little weather beaten. They start to look a little, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? But I think the bollards are probably the more practical solution here. And I know alternative B, I've been on the 6th Street Bridge. There's also that too. So maybe that's an option, right? Where it's kind of like a hybrid, I guess, between A and C. But I like alternative A. I think it's cost effective, right? 10 million versus 33 million for the one on the sidewalk. And the sidewalk really sounded good in concept, but as I was thinking about it, coordinating with different property owners, coordinating with Edison for the light poles, the visibility issues when trucks or cars are coming out of the driveways, I think those are major red flags for me. So from my perspective, I just wanted to communicate my comments. Thank you for the presentation, but I think we do need to take care of Slauson. I think it's in dire need of improvements, and this is the step to get there. So, thank you.
Thank you, council member. Council members, any comments?
A really quick question. I'm sorry I missed your presentation. I'm sure it was great, but can you please repeat if we're not eliminating any lanes?
So the proposal would be eliminating one lane in each direction west of Malt all the way to 710. So, and by the way, the lanes are recovered at the intersection. So we have certain treatments that allow the separator to stop in advance of the intersection so that curb lane becomes shared again for cars who are turning, and perhaps with bicyclists, that's an option in case traffic congestion becomes an issue. But something I didn't mention before was that, again, the first 3 or 4 months of this project, we conducted a very extensive traffic study. We collected morning and afternoon traffic counts and truck counts and bike and ped counts during typical weekdays. And we looked at each intersection and we built what's called a traffic model, which is, what you do is you seed the information into the model and it's, the existing conditions as is. Then from there, we do projections where we look up into the future when the project is going to potentially open. There's a growth in traffic. We actually add more traffic to the model based on development projects that are currently in the pipeline or planned in the near term, and that traffic gets added to it. And we did notice, of course, with the removal of the lanes in each direction, a slight degradation. But as part of our proposed traffic signal mitigations and improvements, based on every conceivable study parameter that we have at this point, we can actually mitigate the traffic congestion to levels better than they are now, based on our estimations and, fine-tuning the traffic signal timing, creating a communication between the signals from end to end so that we get a platoon of traffic in each direction rather than having traffic stop and congest at each intersection. So based on our studies and our rigorous data collection and our documented analysis, which is going to go into the environmental analysis, we're seeing that especially at Eastern and Garfield with the turn pocket improvements, signal improvements, that we can maintain acceptable levels of service based on the city standards. Yeah, we also, if we can queue it up, this is kind of like what the simulation looks like. This is the opening year 2025 at Eastern. And what you see here is the modified traffic signal timing optimized to allow for more optimized turns and throughput. And this is during the afternoon peak hour, which is typically between, like, say, 4:30 and 5:30. And this is showing it with the bike lanes. So I think it goes for about a minute. We have a simulation for the whole quarter, but we isolated Eastern just because it's one of the more significant locations. It's where we're actually removing a lane in each direction for the bike lanes. And what you'll see there is westbound, there's a little bit of a queue that backs up to about maybe 200 feet from the crosswalk, but based on our revised signal timings and optimizations, we can get those cars cleared fairly quickly.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your presentation. I did have some comments. I also took the time to meet KOA staff out there along with Transtech, and I walked with them, and I just wanted to clarify that I was understanding what was being presented. Based on once I got out there, and obviously we're eliminating one lane on each direction, so we're going to reduce it to 2 lanes, and over from Mall forward towards Gage, then we're eliminating the parking. And again, I really noticed that the impact is going to be, it's going to be an impact to the community. And I'm telling you, as a biker, I bike. But in this particular case, I'm looking at our community. And one of the things that I see is that we have a lot of projects in the pipeline now to include additional housing. One in particular in the Veterans Park area, which is expected to bring us an additional 850 units of housing. I believe we're putting in below ground parking of approximately 2,500 to accommodate 2,500 vehicles. One of the biggest issues that was raised from members of the veterans community was related to parking, congestion, that is the issue and probably may continue to be the issue as we move forward. And that was a difficult thing for us to move forward with and approve because of the issues that were being raised. And I know there's some mitigation measures that were approved that are going to be implemented as part of that to try to facilitate traffic. But even with those measures in place, I really think we're not going to really make a dent. We're still going to have a bigger problem. I just want to say that I walked only because just today I went, and I looked in that area there because I'm driving through and I want to see you're eliminating parking from Malt all the way to Gage. And I said, let me see how many cars do we have here. And just in what I counted, it was close to, let me see, over on the Gear Group on their side, 7,400, there was 15 cars parked out there. Colliers, 7421 Slauson. I was just making note of the name of the company there, but I didn't note any cars parked there. JFC International, I saw 4 cars parked outside. I did make note, hey, you guys can accommodate their parking for anybody. It looked like it was full, so they had to park outside. JC Sales, I saw a total of 8 vehicles out there, and that was at 7026 through 7030. It was a total of 8 cars parked out there. And then Eternity Loops, that was the name of the company there. From there all the way down to Garfield, there was a total of 25 cars parked there. So I also noted, the different, there's some resident portions just before residential areas there, just before Gage. There's a liquor store which appears to be closed now. I noticed that it was closed, which is good, but whatever comes next there obviously is going to be dealing with issues related to parking. Of course, you got Jack in the Box. One thing of note to me was like, well, they have their own parking. Well, no, they don't, because I saw a trucker park, and then he was going over, he parked his truck. Where did he park? Where the parking is, on Slauson. And guess what he did? He went over there and he walked over to Jack in the Box. So he has no way to get in there and get anything. So he has to either go somewhere else or there's not going to be no parking for him. Understandable, but I'm just noting that. But again, from Eternity Loops, it was an additional 25 cars, as I mentioned. I'm pointing these out because already in the Veterans Park area, as we do have problems throughout the community here, our biggest problem is parking. We've got a lot of problems. Everybody's battling for parking. And this takes me to a project that we just recently implemented where we put in traffic lanes. We put bike lanes, and this is right here, right next to us on Eastern. It was just implemented, and what we ended up creating was a huge bottleneck. There's still ongoing problems related to traffic. I know of at least 3 accidents that have taken place since that was implemented. 2, one, an individual called me and explained to me and was very concerned because his daughter was involved in an accident. 1, I witnessed myself as I was coming over here to City Hall, and then there's a 3rd one that I heard about. I don't know if there's been any more, I'm not sure, but since then we had some discussion about this, and that's why we were so apprehensive about moving forward with some of these other projects that sometimes they look great on a plan, great plan, looks really good, and we're going to get funding, but at what cost? So for me, I really think that I would like to implement many of the improvements that you're suggesting, whether it's the traffic light synchronization, maybe repaving the street, but I really would not sacrifice losing any of our lanes. I really think we need it for future growth. We have a lot of projects on the pipeline that basically we are looking to attract people here to the city. We want to build additional housing. We want to build, an area where people can come and visit. But if they come and visit and they can't get through and they can't get in and out, first thing they're going to say is like, hey, thank you, but no thank you. I'm not going to be coming back. So I think it's important for us to take that into consideration. Again, I'm a biker and I like to bike, but I really try to do it where I think it's safe. And for me, where it's safe really is on the bike paths that exist on the riverbed. That's generally where I try to bike. I have done it here in our community here in Rosewood Park. Some of you may have seen me, but even then, I do it in this side because I think it's safer over here. I wouldn't do it on my end over there. It's just a little bit more. Got a lot of traffic. I'm close to Atlantic, and I see a lot of people taking shortcuts and whatnot. Anyways, I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I think we should move forward with implementing traffic improvements, which I think will help move traffic better. But we should not remove or impede the existing right-of-ways, because as it is, we have problems already with traffic. And by doing what we're proposing to do, we're only going to make things worse. And later, we're going to have a lot of problems, a lot of calls from different people complaining about the fact that, hey, we've created another problem. And one they're going to reference is the one here on Eastern Avenue. So those are my comments related to the project. And I certainly would recommend that we move forward with the item 1, but I would not move with item 2 on this item, which would be adopting a resolution approving alternative A as the preferred concept plan for Slauson Corridor Improvement Project. I really think we need to go back, relook at this, and see what it looks like without the bike lanes, and doing other improvements to help continue to improve those right-of-ways there to help everybody. And also, I think the impacts that you'll have on the businesses along those areas there, I think those impacts can be significant to them as well in terms of people that come and visit each of those businesses on a regular basis. So those are my comments. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to say that depending on what council decides to pursue tonight, currently, it sounds like at least the mayor, from what I hear, is talking about an entirely different project, funded entirely differently. Because currently, KOA was hired on to do this design with, as Councilmember Linez mentioned, Measure R funds of approximately $2 million for design. So that's money that we may need to return and to pay from our own funds if we choose to pursue different types of improvements, not including a complete streets design. There's also another grant, the ATP Cycle 6, in which we've received $2.1 million, and that's for active transportation, as Councilmember Linez also references active transportation, which we may not be able to keep either. So if we're talking about an entirely different project that does not include complete streets, that's something that council can certainly decide and direct staff to do. I just want to be clear that we may then have to return those funds and come back with an entirely different CIP project that is scaled back considerably to address just some items, but not most.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And again, I'm going to reiterate. I realize that we're getting funding and we're getting monies, but sometimes the monies that we're getting, you're also making sacrifices. And this is where I think we need to weigh the two, does the benefits outweigh the inconveniences? And I really think that we need to plan for the future. We've been working on this with various projects here in the city, whether it's the Telegraph Corridor, whether it's the homes over in the Veterans Park area, whether it's the properties that we've acquired on Washington, and we want to create a new vision and everything here, reimagine the city. But at the same time, already the major corridors, the major thoroughways that we have are very congested. And by us limiting it, you're going to create more congestion, not ease congestion. And already we've seen some of that. It was just done on Eastern, and we've been having problems with it. I just heard, I was at the health fair along with everybody there, and I talked to some people there, and I wasn't aware of it, but they used to be able to park along Eastern. And these are the people across from the senior center at the apartments there. And they said, now, because of the changes, we now have to drive around through, Rosini area looking for parking, and it's very difficult to get parking. Now we're having to, park 3 blocks away sometimes, or wait for somebody to move, and then we take their parking, that sort of thing. And at least before, it was a distance. It was far away from the apartments, but at least we could park there. We knew that. It's a good little walk, but it was still close on the same street. But now they can't park there anymore. So, there's a lot of unintended consequences sometimes, and I just think that we need to think this whole thing through before we move forward. And that's what I'm saying. I really think we need to put a pause on things, and let's rethink it and really assess what we're doing before we move forward with it. I'm not prepared to. Anyways, I'm not prepared at this time. I really think that, we should really give this more thought and consideration before moving forward. Thank you. So if unless there's any additional comments or questions at this time.
I have a
Yes, Councilwoman.
Gina, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have a timeline as it relates to the money? Like, are we supposed to use it by a certain time and then return it? Like, what's our timeline?
Yeah, the closest timeline would be to go after construction dollars, and that would be through the I-710. The problem with that is that we're really getting down to, we would have to be deciding very soon if we're moving forward with the full design, a concept plan and the full design, in order to go after those dollars, because other cities are also going after those construction dollars, and they're dwindling as time passes. So we were hoping that we could be moving into finalizing design within what time frame, Greg?
We're looking at 10-month time frame.
Okay, 10-month time frame, so next year. And in order to get to that point where we could go after those $710.
No, right, but I guess what I mean too is, no, yeah, you're right, you answered my question. I still stand with, with my comments about, and I mentioned it before, is I think that we need to relook at what we really want as a city council, because we all gave the direction to go out for these monies, and now here we are again, right? We're gonna have to give it back, or I think that it's almost like we have to go back to step one. Is this really something that we really want? Because we're expending. There's like staff time that goes into it. There's money that goes into it. There's money that we could potentially have to even put out from the general fund. So, as for me, I agree with everything that you said, Mr. Mayor, as it relates to like the inconvenience to some people, and that's hard, because we don't want to inconvenience the community. But I think as I look at the Slauson corridor, there's only a stretch that is 3 lanes, and that 3rd lane disappears anyway, right? Whether we, as it stands now, right? It's only between Malt to Eastern, and then it goes back to 2 lanes. So it's almost like, and it's really weird that it's done that way, because everything else is 2 lanes and that little stretch is only 3 lanes. So it's really weird. It's super inconsistent. So it's almost like we're just going to make it consistent to what it already is. But yes, we are losing the parking. And I'm by no means am I not business friendly, but when these businesses are supposed to provide parking, adequate parking for their employees, and some of these businesses mention like they have huge properties where they can accommodate for those cars that are on the street. And by no means am I not business friendly, but I also feel like this is our opportunity to improve our corridor. And again, I'm for bike lanes. I guess that's why I'm fighting so hard for it. I like what was presented, even the BRT, right? The BRT lane, right? But clearly, like, there's not going to be support for that. But I really think that the future of this city needs to be sustainable, and this is the way to do it. We keep wanting us to look like other cities, but you know, I mean, I don't know that we can afford to do that through the general fund if we're not going to be using these grants, and these grants have certain stipulations. And again, I'm for bike lanes because, as my colleague mentioned, it's a mobility measure, right? And I've seen people use bikes to go to work, especially on Slauson. I've seen that, right? Because I travel down Slauson to take my son to school, and sometimes I come back and to visit my family in the Veterans Park community. And this is a way to make them safe too. So as for me, I would love to see this project move forward as is, but I clearly respect everybody's, perspective and place where they're at and the different concerns. But that was just my comment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your comments. Could I recommend that at least we table this item for now and let us know how much time we have to address this, but I really would encourage each of you that haven't had a time to actually get out there and look at the impacts that we're going to be having so that we can come back, and if you want to move forward, but keep in mind these projects that we have on the pipeline. As a matter of fact, right on Slauson, there's a big warehouse that we're putting there now. Let me see, where's that address? Well, it's right across from Gear Group. It's 7421 Slauson Avenue. Huge warehouse that we're putting up there. And, I mean, that's obviously going to draw additional traffic to that area. And we're eliminating, that's the area where we're eliminating the parking there. So again, here we are creating, redoing. We've got new projects to attract more business here to the community, housing, and all that, but yet we're limiting the amount of people that can actually come through the community and enjoy that. I don't want to see what we have on Eastern. To me, it's a problem. It's an ongoing problem that we need to address, and I believe that you'll be bringing something that we can take into consideration in the future, Gina, related to Eastern, and I think we need to do it. We need to do it. I mean, we have a problem. It's created a problem, and it is a problem. We've got different people being affected by it. I realize what we're trying to do, but at the same time, I just don't think that we should do it by, hurting ourselves as a community. I mean, they're major arteries in and out of our community, and we need to try to help mitigate getting people through, not, making them removing lanes, and then now you have more gridlock during the traffic hour and stuff. So those are my comments. If you guys want to do something different, but I would recommend that we at least table this item just to get the others to take a look at it so that you can make, hopefully, if we do vote on this item in the future, you can then at least see what I'm talking about. Now, don't take for granted what I'm telling you. Go out there, see it for yourself. If you're confident, you feel good moving forward, we can move forward. Not a problem. Let's put it to a vote and we can do that. But at least go out there and take a few minutes to drive through and take a look at it. Is everybody okay, or do we have a motion? If you want to move, we can try to see if we can get it passed.
Well, Mayor, I just gotta say, listen, I'm not content on what has taken place with Eastern as well. I don't want to be what do they call it, negative Nanny here or whatever, but I do understand that the need of bicycle lanes, but I just cannot wrap it around my head that it's a solution to start to downsize, especially in City of Commerce where we have all these buildings where there's so much traffic. And for us to downsize is, for me, just a huge issue. And I can't find it within myself to support this project, although it seems like an amazing project and other cities around us are doing it. But City of Commerce has so much traffic on Slauson, on Atlantic, on Washington, on Telegraph, on Eastern, that I just think that this is going to create a lot of issues, and especially in times when there's traffic, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or the actual times that the businesses start to come out of these warehouses. I don't know how many people work in these warehouses or buildings. I just think that it's going to be a problem. I've been to other cities that have these boulevards that have 5 lanes on each side or 4 lanes on each side, and they take a bike lane. But we're here 3 lanes on each side, and we have issues with traffic with that. And now we're downsizing, bottlenecking, and then reopening. I get that, but I just can't grasp it around my head right now. So I'm going to make a motion not to approve this project, or maybe let me pull that back. I don't want to be the cause of losing the monies. So maybe we should have this discussion in the future. And if the mayor would like to table it or move it for another day so we can be clear and maybe give me the opportunity to walk the property, because I didn't walk the property, but I would like to walk with the mayor to see what he saw. And maybe I might change my mind. I don't know. But without me walking it, I can't make the decision of passing this project. So I'm not going to kill it. I was going to, but I'm backing up. I'd rather just give the opportunity to speak about it in the future, unless anybody really wants to move in a direction, then we can see where it's going to go. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. No comments? Okay. Are we okay with tabling it? It doesn't have to be indefinite. I just want
I just think if we're gonna table it, then like for those of us that didn't have the opportunity to go out, like do that, go out and let's bring it back soon, because
Sure.
I mean, it's pointless if we're gonna table it, but then there's gonna be like, oh, I wasn't able to go. You know, all of us lead a very busy life and I understand that. But really go out there, make your decision, and if it's no, it's no, right? But let's not continue to like drag it on.
I
So
agree.
that we can move on to like a different project if that's, you know, that's the direction that we're gonna go. Obviously, like, you know, everybody knows where I stand on this, but I want to respect everybody's decision.
Nobody
But
knows
also,
where I'm at
I
on
would
this
like for
one.
everybody to respect everybody's time, you know, and just, you know, make sure that you go out there and do that. That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comments and your position on this. I understand it, and you know, I also, again, my position is clear. I'm telling you my reasons, and I feel very confident about where I stand, based on some of what I've already witnessed and seen here, close to us here on Eastern, and I don't think it's turned out to be a good project for us. And I just don't want us to make another mistake moving forward, and then later go, wow, what do we do? And then, of course, the response will be, well, how do we fix it? Oh, it'll cost us twice as much. I'm just kidding about that. But, yeah.
Mayor, then, I mean, listen, I trust your assessment, okay? I honestly do. You've been in this community a very, very long time. You know what traffic's all about. So, like our councilwoman said, if we're not, let's just, I'm more than likely 99.9% sure I'm going to have the same assessments as you. So I'm just going to make a motion to not approve this project. So I'm going to put it in a form of motion and see where it goes from there.
Okay, we have motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I would like to put a counter motion on the table to approve the project. That probably will move it easier, quicker. So my counter motion is to approve staff's recommendation at this time.
I'll
All right.
second.
We have a motion and a second for a counter motion. All in favor? Let's get a roll call on this, please.
Councilmember Garcia,
You know, I haven't gotten out there, so I'm going to abstain on this one.
Councilmember Lainez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Altamirano,
No.
and Mayor Gumedo.
No.
So that puts us at a standstill still.
Yeah,
It's a
so,
push.
Mr. Mayor, that's just, the motion doesn't pass.
Yeah.
So-
All right, motion does not pass, so if you all don't mind, let's get out there, take a look at it, please, and then we'll bring the item back for a vote then, okay? If that's okay, we'll move with that. Yeah, okay, so if, I'll go ahead and make that motion to table this item to the next council meeting.
I'll second.
Motion, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, great. We have, that was a no. And Councilmember Rebollo?
What was
that?
If I may just pass along a question. He'd like to
Yeah,
know if he can
yeah,
make any
let us
comment.
finish with the motion. We're voting now. So basically, the motion was to table the item to
Yeah.
the next council meeting.
No, I didn't abstain. I
Okay.
mean, I didn't vote no.
So you're a yes, and we had one no. All right, motion passes. Yes, your question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is just like me responding to Ivan's comments. I think your concerns are pretty valid when it comes to like traffic congestion, but you kind of have to see it like all together county-wise. I think we can all recall back with Measure M, having public transit, having rails and stuff like that. I think if we don't focus on having more transportation, having more bike lanes like in our city, we're going to be like very much behind when it comes to like the progress of having like a sustainable environment. So I think we shouldn't have that, although they're valid. I don't think that like we should stop that from happening, because the goal at the end of the day is to have more people using public transit and also using bike lanes. And if you think about it, if you add Eastern, if you add like a BRT lane, or even like a bike lane, I think Citadel is expected to have like the Gold Line there. So if we have it built and more people are using public transit, then there won't be a lot of like traffic. So that's just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna, motion passes, we're gonna table this item to the next city council meeting, and we're gonna move on to item number 15.
I believe we're on item
Oh, I'm
number
sorry, 14.
Sorry. Thank you.
14. And that's going to be the approval of track map number 83334 for the properties located at 7316 Gage Avenue and 6364 Zindale Avenue, Modelo project in the City of Commerce.
Mayor, as alluded to earlier, I believe the Assistant City Manager is recommending to City Council that this item be continued to the next regularly scheduled City Council meeting to allow
All
for
right.
further fine tuning of the item.
Without objection, we'll do that. Thank you. And we'll move to ordinances. Item number 16.
It's actually item number 15, Mayor.
15, sorry.
No problem. Mobile food vending. Staff, Assistant City Manager is making the same request of the City Council.
All right, with no objections, so ordered. So this item will be continued to the next meeting as well.
Yes, sir. And
so
item 16, the recommendation is also continue, and so
So
the City Council is okay with it.
We'll continue with this item also at this time. Great, thank you.
We need a motion.
And that takes us to city council reports. All right, who's gonna start? Councilmember Rebollo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two things. It is with a heavy heart that I would like to pay my condolences to a resident and previous employee, Mr. Angel Lechuga, who passed away. Relief Services were today. Longtime resident. I don't even know how long. I think obviously he was here before I was here. But I know that he recently passed, and all of us knew Mr. Lechuga as one of he worked for maintenance here. He played on the Commerce Eagles, very active resident, and so I wanted to say to pay my condolences to his family and ask Mr. Mayor if we could adjourn in his memory tonight.
Absolutely.
Did he grow up in Veterans Park area?
No, he lives here in he lived here in the village.
Oh.
Yeah, in the village.
And then just with that, also invite the community to come out on Saturday to the Halloween Fest, our very first harvest festival that I'm really excited just to be a part of. And I hope all of you will join us at the Halloween Fest on Saturday at Rosewood Park, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., I believe. Bring your coolest costumes. And I know the community's been asking for our costume contest again, so it's back. So bring out your best costumes because I know the mayor is probably going to try to outdo all of us. So
No, I'm not.
bring out your best costumes out to the Halloween Fest, and I hope to see everybody there. With that, I wanted to just say, to our community, just continue to pray for peace, for the Palestinian community, for the Palestinian people, for the Israeli people, and I think all of us have seen the horrors of what is happening, and it's just it's something that breaks your heart to see children suffering. Any human being suffering, but to see those images of children, whether they're from Palestine or Israel, people are people, and let us just be mindful and remember of how fortunate we are to live in this country, and to keep those in your prayers. Thank you to everyone, and have a good night, and God bless you.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the senior breakfast again, and I'm very happy to see that they're really enjoying the breakfast that we're providing for them. And my thing is to keep our seniors healthy and happy, and I just want to also thank the staff for doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Lainez.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I attended the Health and Transportation Fair that was held by our supervisor, Janice Hahn. It was a great event. I wanted to thank, I think I saw obviously the Transportation Department was there with the tent, the library staff. I know that Parks and Rec certainly contributed with helping set up the tents. And ultimately, it was a really good event. And I thought it was great that we were able to bring together so many resources that our community could really benefit from. So that was great. Hopefully we can do that again at some point soon, but that's all I have to report today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I just like to say there was a resident that reached out and said that there was a young man from Israel here that was stuck for a little while during this entire attack in Israel. Apparently, his friends went to the concert in Israel, and I think that he lost some of his best friends there. But he chose to come to a concert in the United States, and he came by himself. And I didn't get to hear his story, but when that resident reached out to me, I reached out to the mayor. Mayor, thank you so much for taking them out to dinner and connecting with them. And I'm just excited, or I'm just curious to hear a story if you are able to tell that. But thank you for that. Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
my report.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you reaching out. I'll just follow up just to summarize it. But yeah, we did have the individual who happened to be here, and I did connect because our vice mayor was out of town and he couldn't be there. But he reached out to me. I reached out to the resident over in the village, and right away we connected. We sat, we talked, and I expressed our condolences on behalf of myself and of course the city. And he was very appreciative. He really felt honored that we would actually take time to. He was surprised that I didn't realize that you would actually come and meet me. And he was surprised, and I says, no, we absolutely would do that for you or anybody else. But he was really honored. I just thought he was really a pleasant individual, and he did share the story of the two of his friends. There were two females that he lost. One was at the concert, and I think it was at a bus stop, and he mentioned that I guess one of the rockets actually hit, and it was close enough that it damaged the bus stop, and of course she was right under it and lost her life. And the other friend of hers went ahead and registered to serve, and I believe during that time when they were, I guess after she registered and they were training and stuff, and I think she lost her life during that time too. So I don't remember the details of how she lost her life, but overall, it was a very pleasant conversation we had. I asked him what he would like to eat, just to get an idea of, I wasn't sure what he would like to eat. And he says, I love Mexican food. I go, great, that makes my choice easy. So I picked a local restaurant here nearby, and that's where we went. We met with them for dinner and had a very enjoyable time. So again, thank you for connecting us, and that was really really nice for you to think to do that. So I appreciate that. I also had the opportunity to attend our California Cities for Self-Reliance JPA Board of Directors meeting, which was held at in Hawaiian Gardens, and of course, we received an update on ongoing items that we have to monitor and stay on top of related to gaming, and that was it. That was it. I'll probably update you guys later as we begin to develop strategies related to, how we're gonna continue to stay engaged related to some of the legislation that's pending. There's a bill, SB 549, that we're very concerned. We hope that it stays in committee right now, but they may be hearing it soon, and that's when we're going to need to get involved and engaged to make sure that we can try to defeat it. If not, hopefully it never makes it out of there and it dies there. But we'll be engaging the community and letting everybody know what we need to do with regards to that. Of course, the senior health fair that was just mentioned, that was hosted by our supervisor, very nice event. Wow, she brought everybody out, Metro, and everybody that the facility, I'm sorry, Edgar, I don't remember the name of the folks right across the street from us. They're right on Gilson, right across from us from the senior center. Wesley Health Centers. They're so close, and they were there and basically discussing a lot of the services they provide to the community. But there was just a lot of organizations that were there to help and support people, any questions that they had, and it was a major success. There was a lot of folks there, and of course it was well attended by many of our seniors. Thank you, Greg, and to you and your staff, because I know you guys were involved in setting that up. I saw many of the staff early in the morning setting up all the tents and everything else related to supporting that effort. Appreciate all the great work you guys do every time you're called upon, so thank you. Let's see. What else did we have? Of course, we had a visit from our over at our CCM market. We had Mark Wahlberg, and it was a nice visit. I stopped by and
Is that
enjoyed.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch?
Yeah. Yeah, many of his different movies. I've seen, I'm a fan of some of his movies, but it was just nice to actually meet him. Guy is really a very nice individual, very nice conversation that, was short, but we also had my council member, my colleague here, Linus and Reboyo, that were also there present at the event. Appreciate you guys being there. And it was well attended. I understand that they were pushing the new brand of his tequila, Flecha Azul, and their bottles are going for, I believe it was $50 a bottle. And it's my understanding that they sold about 1,000 bottles. So wow, I was like, wow, that many? I wasn't expecting them to sell that many, but yeah, they were saying that I think they sold about 1,000 of those bottles. Wow.
Cha-ching, that's sales tax for us.
Yeah, so that was good news. But anyways, it was just good to have them here in the city, and so part of these new businesses opening, and I think will be that'll be good for commerce, and I think it will attract a lot of new folks to come here to the community. So let's see, I think that's about it. That really wraps up my comments. Thank you all. I hope you have a good evening, and thank you for being with us this evening. And at this time, we're going to reconvene to closed session because we have some unfinished business. So we're going to recess to closed session, but before we do that, we're going to take a short 5-minute recess, and then we'll meet in the conference room. Thank you. Wow, what time are we? 8:30. Yeah, 8:30. All right, well.